Good evening, good morning, and good night, wherever you may be. Thanks for tuning in to the Grateful Yardy podcast. It's your boy Drew talking the things them pun the ends. Our social media is facebook.com/the Grateful Yardy podcast. On Twitter, it's Mr. Special. On Instagram, it's Mr. underscore special. Our YouTube channel is the Grateful Yardy podcast. Our SoundCloud channel is the Grateful Yardy podcast. And our Twitch network is twitch.tv/Grateful Yardy. All right. So before we can go forward and predict the future, we got to go back and talk about the past. So at the beginning of the year, which is 2018, we saw the Winter Classic between the New York Rangers, my team, and the Buffalo Sabres. We saw the pomp, the circumstance, etc., and the Rangers won in overtime. It was a good game. The problem I have with these outdoor games, number one, there's too many of them. Number two, the allure and the special, making these games special, is gone, in my opinion. And it's now, to me, like anything else here in North America, it's a cash grab. So they create different jerseys, and they're able to get between 45 to maybe 80,000 people. We saw a couple of years back, they went to the big house in Michigan, and they had the Leafs and the Red Wings, and that went to about over 100,000 people were there. I would like to see maybe just one a year, or to make it special, maybe have it part of the All-Star weekend, make that the big allure, make the All-Stars play outdoors. Something different, because you have this game and then you have a few weeks down the road, I think a stadium series or whatever you want to call it. There's too many outdoor games. It's killing the allure, but I understand why they do it and why there's not going anywhere anytime soon. But I enjoyed this year's Winter Classic. The Rangers did win. Yay, Rangers. And it was a good game, and they sent the Rangers fans home happy. All right. A few days later, down the pike, which was January 4th, was known as Wrestle Kingdom 12, and we saw the most highly anticipated match between Alpha and Omega, Jericho versus Omega, for the IWGP United States Championship. With this match, I was very much entertained by it. I was looking forward to this match very much on the card. The rest of the card, as usual, New Japan Pro Wrestling always puts on amazing shows. And the in-ring stuff is top-notch, stellar as usual. But I'm only going to highlight two matches that were important to me that I wanted to see. And like I'm talking about one of them, which was the Omega and Jericho fight. And it had everything that you needed it to be. It was what it was supposed to be. It ended up not being a physical wrestling match contest more than a fight, and Chris Jericho looked like the most hated man in Japan with the stuff he did with Red Shoes and Red Shoes' son, and just the storytelling in the match. And he lost by getting hit with the one-wing angel on a chair by Omega. And beautiful match. Enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it, go on to New Japan World. Check it out there. There's English and Japanese commentary for your listening and viewing pleasure. The main event had Naito losing to the man known as Okada the Rainmaker himself. That match to me was better than the Omega and Jericho match, and it was an athletic competition back and forth. It showed at the near the end that it was really a battle for Okada to keep his title, and I think the reason why, for me, ending in 2017, and I felt if I was giving out awards for promotion of the year, for me it would be New Japan, and I hope going forward they build in North America, and they get fans and etc., because it's a great product. It's going back to the simplicity of what wrestling is. It's a sport, and you're supposed to tell a story how to get us amped up to see a match, and in the match you're also supposed to tell a story about it being a physical battle between two men, two women, etc., etc. Okay, so prediction time. And we're into the final four of the NFL playoffs. In the AFC Championship game, we have our usual suspects, known as the New England Patriots, back at it again, looking to go to their eighth and back-to-back Super Bowl, going up against the upstart, not really upstart, but the really surprising to my estimation, Jacksonville Jaguars. So we saw last week Jacksonville come out and put up pretty much a beating on Pittsburgh, but then Pittsburgh came back and got it close, and they ended up winning, or Jacksonville ended up winning by 3 to eliminate Pittsburgh. Do I see an upset in the making this week? I just don't want to see Brady and Belichick and Kraft back in the Super Bowl again. Last year, it was important to me because of the whole Deflategate and etc. I'm just tired of the Patriots. The Patriots, in my estimation, have become like they're a dynasty, and eventually a dynasty you have to, like, it has to end. Like, of course, in the 90s, I was a Bulls fan. I'm still a Bulls fan, and we had 6 championships in 8 years, the most in a decade, etc., etc., etc. But after a while, you don't want to see the same teams on top. You want to see somebody else take the throne. But I think New England wins against Jacksonville and goes back to the Super Bowl. That's just my pick. So my pick is New England wins on Sunday, whenever the game is. I'm not sure. I haven't been following the NFL that tough because, personally, let me go off on a different way with this one. The NFL to me has become that league where dudes can do no wrong, but a guy takes a knee and he can't get a job. We've seen guys beat up girlfriends. We've seen guys with domestic violence. We've seen guys go to prison for having dogfighting rings and get a second chance. And all this my boy Colin Kaepernick did was take a knee to protest injustice, and he couldn't get a job. But back to what I was saying with this, I feel New England goes back to the Super Bowl. In the NFC, we have the Vikings of Minnesota and the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this is just me going off the top of my head, and I would love to see this happen. I think for the first time in the history of the Super Bowl, the team that's hosting the Super Bowl will be playing at home. And I really think the Vikings are going to be that team. I think the Vikings beat the Eagles to go on to the Super Bowl and be the first team in the history of the Super Bowl to host the Super Bowl and play it at home. Okay? So, now you know, so my Super Bowl looks like, for me, it's going to be the Patriots versus the Vikings in Super Bowl 52. All right? Over to the world of sports entertainment, wrestling, whatever you want to call it. The WWE has their annual Road to WrestleMania show, kickoff show, which is, but before I get to that, Monday night coming up, we got Raw the 25th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. We got a lot of old retro people coming back, make cameos. I've never been really a fan of these kind of shows. I was more of a fan of them when Raw was only 2 hours, and then these special shows would show up, and it's going to be a 3-hour Raw, like when they did Raw 1000 and all that stuff. But when Raw has consistently been 3 hours, but 3 hours of garbage sometimes, we'll see how this goes on Monday night leading forward. And I think it should be more of that nostalgic stuff because they're gonna be in the original home in the Manhattan Center in New York, and then we'll be over in Barclays in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, I know my geography, people. I just think more or less it's gonna be one of those extravagant shows. Is Stone Cold gonna stun anybody? And people gonna that we least expected are gonna return. Who knows? But it's a cool show to turn into. I just personally think that Raw should go back to 2 hours. The 3 hour stuff is too long, too boring. And also with the WWE, it's like for me in the UFC, there's too much content. Too much. Remember when I was a kid, wrestling was special. You knew wrestling Saturday afternoons or mornings or evenings you would turn into wrestling, and that was wrestling for the week. Now when you got a 3 hour Raw, 2 hour SmackDown, and you got NXT, and you got Total Divas, and then you got all these other shows. It's about 7 to 10 hours of programming just from the WWE alone. Less I love wrestling, but sometimes less is more, and that's what I feel. But back to what I'm saying here about the Royal Rumble, we have two to predict. I'm gonna rub my crystal ball and predict here. So, because I'm going first, what I think the on the men side of the bracket should be when it comes to the Royal Rumble. I think they need to heat back up Shinsuke Nakamura. I personally feel like they made this guy look like a joke. He was when one of my favorite wrestlers when he was in New Japan came over with all this hoopla and stuff to the WWE, was doing this thing in NXT. Amazing feud he had with Samoa Joe, but I think you have Nakamura win the Royal Rumble and go on to face AJ at WrestleMania. That's my pick. Predicting the future here. Nakamura wins the Royal Rumble. And on the ladies' side, see, the ladies' side is a lot more difficult for me to pick here because you got to look at it. Do you want to flip the script and make it for the first time in history that two women are the ones that are main eventing WrestleMania? Because remember, the rules are very simple with the Royal Rumble. You win the Royal Rumble, you are main eventing WrestleMania. So does a woman win it? A woman win the Royal Rumble and they go on the main event WrestleMania. My thing is this. There's so much speculation going around that Ronda Rousey might show up in this Rumble and win it. I'm saying that's not gonna happen. I don't think Ronda Rousey is gonna be in the Royal Rumble. That's just my opinion. If she is, that would be great. If she isn't, that still would be great. I'm gonna go off of the top of my dome, and I'm gonna pick Asuka to win the women's Royal Rumble. Because I don't see anybody else. Because is Charlotte gonna be in it? The only way that happens is that Charlotte drops the belt on SmackDown Live this week. Alexa Bliss drops her belt on Raw this week, and they end up being in the Rumble. I don't know if that's the case, but I really think if it's not Asuka, who else is it gonna be? And a lot of people are turning around saying it's gonna end up being Ronda Rousey. If it is Ronda Rousey, that would be amazing, but I'm not picking her to be in the Royal Rumble, like I said. So I'm going with Asuka. So my two picks is Asuka on the women's side, Nakamura on the men's side, and in the Super Bowl 52 is going to be the home team Vikings playing against the Patriots. I'm not going to predict the Super Bowl, folks, because I'm not going to give you the winner and then make a bag of money and not give me none. All right? So, if I can be serious for a moment, here we go again. Your boy Trump puts himself in a body hole with his comments about the shithole countries. And he put my brothers and sisters from Haiti. and other African nations in that. First and foremost, black people, let me educate you and educate you. Caribbean people need to understand, especially Yardis. You are African. The only difference between you as a African and the American the African that was stolen from Africa and put in America is that they dropped you off first. That's what we need to understand. Trump, with his dirty statement, is putting a target on his back. I don't think he's putting a target on America's back. I think he's putting a target on his own back. And that's what they're saying. President Trump is a racist. And he's coming out there misquoted. No. A leopard doesn't change his spots. You are what you are. It's the same thing when you hear racist white people or racist anybody. Because black people, we racist against each other sometimes. She too dark. Her hair too this. Him too dark. Me no date dark man. Me only date light skin. See, that's being prejudiced towards your own. If you love black, love all black. Black is a shade. But back to what I'm saying here with Trump. Trump is making America look horrible on a global scale. And this guy not only is not understanding that what he's putting out there is a reflection of the country he leads. Perception is reality. And when are we as a people going to understand, especially in the Caribbean? I see great things for the Caribbean, because even my little country, Jamaica, what is going on? I'm going all over the place. But I mean, before I get to what's going on in Jamaica, I'm going to finish with Trump. He makes this statement. We need to understand this. This is who he is. It's not like he's changed his rhetoric from when he started in the political game, when he was running for president. And we've been in this Trump administration for a year now. You have to understand, this is how it is going to be until the day this man either gets reelected for a second term, which it wouldn't shock me if he did. And he only represents a sector of the ignorant in that country. Because there's a lady saying, "Oh, see, President Trump said the shit old country," and laughing about it. You have to understand that country was hit with a natural disaster that destroyed it. And they're rebuilding. Black people, we need to understand our history and who we are as a people, and stop waiting for the Trumps of the world to help us, because it's not going to happen. That's who he is. That's his rhetoric. And anybody that believes the rhetoric, that laughs at what he says and thinks it's funny, you're just like him. Jamaica, especially Montego Bay. Lord have mercy, Jesus. When the military have to get involved, say the crime thing gone turn up to the max. When them I tell the tourists them stay upon your resort, not take the Juta taxi, listen to what we are tell you, listen to the people them. See, this is the problem, and this is from a Yardy that live a foreign. Because there's enough time people say, I want to go to Jamaica, but is it safe? And when you see this now on a global scale, that hurt we Rasta. So me youth them down in Jamaica, especially down in Montego Bay, because that's where my people them are from. And you are do rudeness, and you are do crimes, where the army have to come in, and you hear what Prime Minister Holness say, him give them the full autonomy to do what them have to do. So what that tell you say? These people go there, that's or not. So if them have to take them any means necessary and done, you now mash up the thing. So all them youth that say them a bad man and a gunman, leave it alone. Because you have destroyed the country. Remember, be a tourist town. The tourists them come to be, them go on the strip, them go at the hotel them spend them money, them go at your beach, them go at Ville, them do them all them sitting there. And when you go on with your fuckery and your foolishness with your crimes, you are destroy and hurt your economy. Cause right now the people them that were thinking, why me have a little vacation time, I want to go down to Jamaica because say Susie and I office go down there last year and she tell me say nice, I want to go see it. And now them go on the news and see this foolishness who know I do. I bear fuckery who know I go on with, and now them have to bring the army. Stop with it. Please do me Jamaican people. Stop with it. Cause them now go come, if them are go come at Jamaica, then now come at Mobile. Them are go at Ochi, them are go at Negril, where the other rest of resorts and them sitting there. Then now go stay at Montego Bay if them know say army and crime. So stop with the fuckery. Alright, people. So thank you for tuning in this week, my people, them, or this time, people. Remember, you can always hit me up on Facebook.com/GratefulYardy Podcast. You can email me, GratefulYardyPodcast@gmail.com. You can always tune in on the YouTube channel, which is the Grateful Yardy Podcast. You can also listen on SoundCloud. So SoundCloud.com/GratefulYardy Podcast. Make sure it's the one with the Jamaican Canadian flags. Also, you can watch my free live gameplay from time to time on Twitch. So it's twitch.tv/GratefulYardy. My gamer tag over there, so sometime I might play some Gears of War 4 or some NHL 17 or any other games that me get. I might stream them up there so for you to watch, and might even drop a podcast live up there from time to time. So check it out, alright? God bless, stay grateful. You don't know. Peace. Boom.